Hi, greetings and salutations. What the fuck is this called again? A Manga Heads podcast.
It helps to know what you were gonna say. Chicken Love Club, weren't you?
I almost did.
You're like,
What is this, episode 2?
yes.
Episode 2. Everybody say hi.
Yeah,
How's it going?
We got a jam-packed. I don't know if it's really jam-packed. We got a bunch of topics to talk today about. But first of all, I want to start out with what we learned yesterday. Well, JoJo Part 5 anime being announced. Does anybody care? You guys excited? What do you guys think about it? What have you seen so far from the key visual?
I mean, I like JoJo. I've been reading JoJo, so now that the anime is officially coming out, now I have a reason to go and read Part 5 JoJo before the anime comes out. So I can also talk about how the anime is not as good as the manga. So that's my plan.
Okay, either.
I'm sorry, alright. I'm just not a fan of the animations, yo. Like, you should always check out stuff in its original medium. That's my belief.
Big facts.
Anime out.
Yeah, I'm hyped for it. I think it'll be good. I mean, I don't like Part 5 that much, but I think it'll be better in the anime because I always feel like with Part 3 and Part 2 especially, like I thought it was better in the anime than the manga. So.
Well, the key animation looking good. Though.
Right.
I think it's going to translate to their movement, though. I feel like they might be a little stiff with like movement. They don't like they'll be able to move fluidly.
Yeah, I can see that being an issue.
Right.
I ain't hyped for it at all.
No?
As someone who's been reading JoJo since 6th grade and whatnot, seeing Part 5 finally getting its big push on the big screen, I really don't care. I don't like Part 5 that much, and it getting an anime adaptation is not going to change my mind at all. The key visual looks nice. I have no worries that David Production will screw it up. They haven't. I mean, their track record is pretty much perfect. Basically, they haven't screwed up.
Except Batman Ninja, because that shit was garbage.
Oh wait, they did that?
Wow!
Yep.
Stop this! Oh my god! Never mind, yo. This is not gonna be good. So this is not gonna be good. The manga's gonna be great. Forget about this. The anime is gonna be terrible.
Well, for the most part, they've had a good track record. So I don't have any doubts about it. The key visual looks nice. I think that the characters could be even more slimmer than how they drew them, because by now Part 5 they're pretty dinky to me. So I think they could have toned them down even more than they did. So, but it should be fine. Censorship wise, there's probably gonna be a fuck ton of it. I think Part 5 is more violent than Part 4. So there's gonna be a lot of black spheres and black holes, just like in Part 3's anime. So censorship a lot.
Censorship is too serious.
It's gonna be like when watching Terraformer, just a black screen.
No, that was the Tokyo Ghoul anime. They just had the whole screen was just freaking white.
Black, yo. Why did they do these things? Like they don't need that level of censorship. That's too much. Like you can't have a good 10 seconds of just black. Like that's not an anime at that point.
Yeah, but the freaking Part 3 censorship was mad funny because like if somebody lost an arm or something, it would just be a black circle around the freaking missing spot. So there's gonna be a lot of that. Isn't Part 5 the one where dude's tongue got cut with the razors? Am I thinking of another part?
You might be right. The problem with Part 5 is I've never revisited it. It's the only part I never revisit. So this will serve as a good memory, like reminder, because it's my least favorite part. I don't go back to it. I've never reread it once. The rest of them, when they got their color scans and shit, like we can read them in color, I reread all of them, like before, like so. But like that part, I read it once and never looked back.
Probably that too. I saw some dude post the color scans of Part 7.
For what?
Color scans for Part 7.
Oh. Yeah. The part I reread that. I don't know how long ago it was, but that one I remember pretty well because Funny Valentine is actually my favorite JoJo antagonist. So
the funny thing is, I really don't like color scans at all. Like at all. I haven't seen a single color scan, either let it be official or fan made, that I like. Because to me, color scanning completely defeats the purpose of manga, period. Manga being black and white, manga specifically use that to intricate their art. They specifically draw with it being black and white in mind. So when you color it in and the inking of the color black is gone, it kind of loses its flow. It loses its flair, if you ask me.
I kind of agree with you. I know what you're saying because like that's how I feel about like when I watch hockey like in like the battles in One Piece. When it's not in black and white, I like it in the black and white for the hockey battles when they use Buso, the hardening. It just looks right, like the way it is, like in the black and white. But when it's colored, I don't know. It doesn't hit me the same. So I feel you on that. But
Yes.
the world just feels right to me when JoJo is airing. I don't know what it is. Just something about it. It's just like yes, the JoJo comes out on like Friday or whatever it is. It just feels right to have it in my weekly watch schedule. So.
I'm happy for everybody.
Yeah, I know it's part 5, and part 5 is like the worst part, but I mean, maybe my opinion will change on it. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah. Anything else you want to add to that, or no? We're good.
Nah, I'm done.
Arrivederci.
I think that's enough about anime and a manga podcast.
Sticky fingers. Okay. That's the one thing I like Bruno. So.
It's the only good part, anyways.
And what do they call him in English? Zipperman.
What?
I can't stand JoJo in English because they're all musical references, right? So they can't.
Oh yeah, they have to.
Yeah, they can't.
Too.
Yeah,
It's like Deadly Queen or like not Killer Queen, like Deadly Queen. What do they call Josuke stand? I can't remember what they called it. It wasn't Crazy Diamond. Shining Diamond, was it? Something stupid like that. I can't stand them. They called Vanilla Ice something stupid. I can't remember what it was. Or something so stupid. I was like, no. But yeah. Okay. So, I want to touch upon rom-coms in anime and manga. What makes them good? What makes them bad? So, like, you want to start us off? Sir?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I got the spot now, little nigga.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't mind. When it comes to rom-coms, at least for me personally, like I like that the story at least makes sense, right? Like I'm not just looking to just all the time, like everything is just working out between the couple and whatever it is, you know what I mean? I mean, like that's fine, like to have that every now and then, but like it's like it's about having a certain level of conflict. Like things can be going bad for the romantic pairing, but like they still need to like work it out or be like in tune enough with each other, like that makes it work. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you read something like Horimiya, and like they actually just get along with each other, and that's it. Like there's not.
I was just thinking of that. I was like, I'm gonna mention Horimiya because
there's just
it's
not
so boring. It's so boring because nothing ever goes wrong. Like
they're so together in that sense that like, and I'm like, you guys hardly know each other. Like you guys barely. I mean, you guys spend a lot of your time together and whatever it is, but like you guys barely know anything about each other. You guys are still young. Like there's no way like your relationship is this perfect. Like that's just too crazy in my mind. Like there's just so much complexity and intricacy that goes into being in a relationship in the first place. So like to be completely without that is weird to me. Right?
He's offside. Sorry.
This man is.
I mean, I don't know. I couldn't tell you what one thing. I think it just kind of depends. I'll take it like depends what happens. Like because Ranma was basically my first rom-com, but it's also like martial arts and all kinds of nonsense in there too. But that's basically my first one. It's one of my like favorites, right? So for me, it's just like a balance of the comedy with the overarching. I mean, it doesn't have to be overarching. It can be like episodical, whatever, monster of the week type of thing, I guess. But the comedy and the like love needs to be growing slowly in some way. If they're not together, but they know that like each other, kind of like a Rama. Mm-hmm. So even though by the end it didn't even really happen, I was like, man, what the fuck? It's like, what?
Yeah, man.
This is why I say I need fucking in my romance. I'm tired of this baby shit. I can't do it. I need fucking in my romance.
Or like, I don't even need to see it, but like at least strongly imply it. Like
right.
I don't like that's okay, I guess here and there, like if you're especially in like younger ages and whatever, like I don't mind that, you know what I mean? Like you want to keep it really vanilla or whatever it is to like protect the kids, sure. But like, you know, when you get to a certain age, like you have expectations about like what happens, right? So like then why hide that stuff? Like just be explicit.
I thought Simba was gonna say something. That's why I think I heard you try to talk and I'll tell you off.
Oh no, I ain't trying to say nothing. It's not the freaking topic for me, man. I mean,
wait, you don't read any rom-coms ever?
You know, I'm a freaking ape. I don't Nah, but now I can still say something. Well, for starters, I believe it should be very a lot of effort should be put into the fact that there's a difference between a romance series and a romantic comedy series.
Mhm.
So because but not only are they clearly called two different things for a reason, but a romantic comedy is completely different from just a normal romantic series. So I believe that what would make a good romantic comedy is comedy. What makes it different from the normal genre that makes it a subgenre? There should be a very good level of comedy alongside with the romantic theme aspect of it. But the comedy has to be funny as well. I mean, I remember trying to watch my teen romantic comedy Snafu and I absolutely hated it. And
Oh, really?
that
Jeez.
shit was fucking garbage. And
Jeez.
fucking everybody on Crunchyroll thought that shit was fire. Nah.
No.
But I mean, I just finished Heaven's Lost Property, which kind of could be considered um a romantic comedy since there is a lot of romance in it and there is a lot of comedy in it too. But there's also a lot of action and there's a lot of fantasy as well. So it's kind of a hybrid of all of those. But that would be a good example because there is romance in it, but there's a lot of comedy in it too, and that show is fucking hilarious. And I was freaking laughing all throughout episodes 1 through 12, and that was the second season. I finished Forte. But yeah, I'm not really the one to talk about this topic at all. But I think there should just be a good level of balance between the two. There should be last and there should be romance. But neither or shouldn't interfere with each other, so to speak.
Mhm.
As freaking Hemmings was saying, you shouldn't have a romantic comedy and it ending with nobody being together. So
Actually, that's another thing too. Like touching back on what Nyla was saying earlier about like
Drama.
you know like people no like people actually just like having sex like in a manga or whatever it is, right? Like a lot of times like mangaka will throw in ecchi stuff, right? I think that like we need to move away from that. Like they do that, but it's just like it's a bunch of fan service and for like no real purpose beyond fan service. Like it doesn't help the story in any way. It doesn't build any plot. It doesn't like focus on what is happening relationship wise. So what is the purpose of that? Like it's just something like offhand that they just kind of like throw out there for no real reason, right?
I think the reason why I do that is because at the end of the day, seinen romance manga don't sell as much as shonen or shoujo romance manga.
You know that's fair enough too. But I figure that like a big part of that comes from the whole harem aspect of like a lot of romantic comedies, right?
God, I fucking hate harems. Oh my
Like
fucking
we
word.
got to do away with that stuff. Like you don't need like 9 women all in love with the same like 12-year-old. Like what is going on?
Nagima? Nagima?
You know what I mean? Like are you kidding
Oh
me?
my god, it's so
Bro, that's some foolishness. Like what?
But the funny thing is that shit fucking sells. Look at freaking
Yeah, but why? Like what? How is that appealing? Like what is good about that?
look at fucking To Love Ru for example. I mean, it's like I don't just the seinen demographic period is just it doesn't flourish with romance because people I guess over there people want to read romance are still like they're not even fully teenagers. They're like from preteens to kids. And once they get to their full teenage years, they ain't reading manga no more. They're reading light novels. So if they want romance, they're just gonna go read a light novel. So that I'm guessing manga don't really see the point in fully adding on sex into their romance series because if they do that, they have to make it a seinen manga. And that's already losing a couple hundred, couple thousand copies right there.
You know,
Pull a titty out.
that's fair enough too, but still, like you can. Like, but this is what I mean, right? At least imply, right, that something has happened.
But you can even have fun with those because some things I read they'll be like they'll have fun with the sex scenes.
Yeah.
Like they'll make a joke or something or like you know whatever.
Yeah, there are ways to make things like more interesting or more engaging than just like generically being like, okay, yeah, whatever. We're just gonna throw this out there and like you never get to really experience like what the whole relationship is and whatever, right? Like the more intimate aspects of the relationship.
What about you, Kyle?
What makes a good rom-com? I just like really stressful, like always some like bad problems going on with like the couple, and I always love it like in rom-coms, like with the story, like when someone's ex comes back and like they have beef or something, some shit's really going on, like they're passing on their ex. Like I love when they bring back their ex. I don't know, that it gets so serious, and that's what I like about like rom-coms. Mostly mainly romance though. The comedy aspects I don't really find funny that much because I don't know, manga like
Fucking robot, you don't fucking laugh at shit.
Yeah.
The one thing that I agree on though is like the slapstick humor. Sometimes I'll be like it's kind of annoying. Sometimes it isn't.
Yeah, exactly.
I know you hate that. You're like, why are you hating them? Like I know you hate that. It bothers me sometimes too. But rom comes out. They're cool. So this actually one is pretty interesting. So you know, Shounen Jump, Shounen Jump over the overseers of Jump. They're ruthless, right? They're pretty ruthless. Like you don't get those rankings, those ratings, and I'm that's a good strike. Money like immediately.
Yep.
You get axed. You're gone. You're gone. So how do you feel about like Week Shounen Jump and how they're like their policy with like these newcomers, upcomers, and whatnot? Like, do you think they're too harsh on them? Not harsh enough? Maybe
they're way too fucking strict, man. I'll start since this is my topic after all. They're way too fucking strict. I mean, countless series that were flames only have like 7, 4, 3, 2 chapters because they got axed for what? If Shounen Jump is a magazine that specializes in long-running series, why are we canceling numerous series before they even hit 20 chapters? For example, when Black Clover, Boku no Hero, and Soma first came out, there was another manga that came out from the little polls or whatever that got greenlit, which was called Ultra Battle Satellite, which I was reading and was very interested in it. And that shit got axed about like 12 chapters in or so. I believe just Shonen Jump, they're completely shooting themselves in the foot by not allowing these aspiring mangaka to get their chance in the spotlight, because it's like, look at the current standing now. Look what they have running now. You can't rely on the backs of freaking Oda forever. So Archie's about to be out the doors. Gintama's going. One Piece is going to be here for fucking ever. So Oda's there, but okay, who else we got? You can't rely on the backs of older mangaka. You gotta at some point you have to allow new people to get in. Oda was once new once upon a time, right? So you have to allow that same privilege to newer mangaka. Otherwise, it's just not going to work. Then their magazine that's gonna be the downfall of their magazine. I'm telling you, if you let nobody freaking work, then what the hell are you gonna do?
But I think comparing newer mangaka to Oda is kind of like off key though, because you can tell from the way that Oda writes his series and the way that One Piece has been shaped that he probably came in with a big ass manuscript off the back. Like he probably has a bunch of stuff already written down and was like, here are like my key points. This is where I think that it's gonna go. This is why I'm gonna draw it a certain way. This is why I'm gonna do this. Blah 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 blah. Right? Like you look at One Piece and I mean, right away, it's maybe not obvious if you're not in the culture, if you're not in the know. But after a while, like it all makes sense, right? Like everything that he does, everything that he's created is kind of like it's building towards something, and you get that sense, like maybe not right away, but eventually that's what comes across, and that happens to the reader as well, right? Not to mention that like when Oda and all these people were coming in, like they were, I want to say, in a little bit more of a forgiving time than we are in right now, right? Like right now, we're way more capitalist than we were before, in regards to like manga related things, right? And you have to remember too that like it's weekly Shounen Jump. That means every week you coming out with something, and like 20 chapters might not seem like a lot, but like that's 20 issues of a magazine, and that's like almost half your year right there, right? So like even like a little bit of revenue lost, like off of like maybe like 3 or 4 weeks, like that's probably a big hit to them, right? Like we don't see that because we're not there, we're not looking at the numbers, right? But like I think that's why that they're that kind of strict on their mangaka, and actually I think that it's because they're that strict. That's why people can come in and put out like really exceptional works. Like you look at the people that are right now coming in and are doing what they're doing, and like you can't say that it's not exciting. That whatever like Shonen Jump has right now, like it's not engaging or it's not interesting. You know what I mean?
Black Clover not exceptional at all.
Dr. Stone trash.
Hey,
Oh my your head, what?
No, yeah, okay.
I do not agree.
Okay, I'm 100%. I'm 100% in agreement on the Doctor Stone. Like, I know that like nobody wants to read that kind of like science-based thing, but like you can't knock the whole, what do you call that? The teaching that it gives to kids, right? Like who really like actively goes out of their way to read about science? Nobody, right? But like unless that's of your interest, and if you like maybe are not that well versed in the whole sciences, like maybe this is that way to kind of like get somebody interested, you know, like a science comic that kind of like simplifies science.
Bro,
Right?
what you wasting his time with this shit?
He's definitely like he's just definitely dry for it though. I mean, he's doing Origin on the side, right? And Origin is just fine. So
I like Origin's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're too harsh. I think you made a good point with the like 20 weeks is like a lot. If you take it in like for the year, I guess, because it's a weekly. I guess I never considered that way, but I kind of feel like you got to give a series a chance to hit its stride.
Yeah, for sure.
Or you're like, before you put the fucking hammer down, like, nope, canceled. You ain't sell this many in the first issue. Like, you're God. Like, what? Excuse me? Like, give me a chance. There's so many series that is like, if you hadn't given it the chance to read how many chapters and let it build up or whatever, when it starts to kind of kick into high gear, you wouldn't like. I'm like, yo, so many series, like maybe chapter 40 or so, like this is when it kind of picks up. So I mean, I like Reborn, you know, like Reborn has like 61 chapters of like daily life, you know what I'm saying? And then the stories come out of nowhere. So
exactly. So you can't. It's highly inconsistent. Like if you look at the pilot chapters of a lot of these series, literally nothing happens in them. Yet why do they pick and choose which ones get to stay and which ones don't get to stay? Reborn literally starts with a fucking baby shooting a middle schooler in the head, and he fucking runs around the street with his boxes, and that's it. Yet here we are, hundreds of chapters later, it got to finish.
Mm-hmm.
Yet something like Ultra Battle Satellite, which had a clear cut beginning and end. There's this kid who was a martial artist, but however he preferred street fighting over martial arts, and he disqualified himself from an official tournament that he was in, and now there is an underground tournament, which the winner gets to win like $1 million or something like that. And there's a clear-cut story, and he was actually going off in the little 12 chapters that there was, and it's canceled. You have to remember that once actually getting serialized in the actual Shounen Jump, you have to win a poll. So fans voted that in. So what's the point of having fans vote something in just to kick it out of the door anyways?
Oh shit! I didn't even know about the voting thing.
I know about the voting thing. They talk about that like quite a bit.
I know they have contests. I don't. Is that the only way they gets in? Is always a contest? I know they have contests for shit. But,
well, like when you, I think what it is that when you publish a copy of the magazine, they have like a postcard, and on that is like a list of like the titles that are currently like in this issue, and then you mark off like which ones you thought like were the best.
Yeah.
In whatever order, and then you send that in, so that way they can tally that up, and then based on those ratings, they decide who they axe and who they keep.
They probably don't do the postcards anymore since you have phones and shit that. But yeah, that's
all
how
app-based now for sure.
What about you, Kyle?
Yeah, like I don't really keep up with that many Jump series anymore like I used to, but so many things really get canceled. I would say like they need to give series at least like a year to get off, because like if you cancel something around 20 chapters or 30 chapters, like when you think about it, most major mangas that I've ever read are not that good at that point. Like by 20 or 30 chapters, like it takes like maybe around 40 or 50 chapters for like its first major arc to kick off. And if you cancel it before that, then it didn't even get a chance. You feel me?
Yeah.
And you can't make the chapters too dense because no one wants to read. It's a manga. No people don't really want to read that much, right?
Exactly.
It's a medium of show and like showing, right? Show don't tell. Obviously, you can stop the dialogue. Like, oh, nice goal, Shakiri. But
I mean, don't forget too that when first chapters usually come out, those first chapters and even second chapters sometimes tend to be between like 40.
Yeah, they're a bit longer.
Like they're much longer, right? And that amount is actually almost like a double chapter's worth, right? So it's not that like they don't like get to showcase. I think what it is though is that like by putting that kind of thing in and in that kind of quantity, like you're really cutting back on how much like paper you can actually use for other things within the magazine.
What do you think like they talk about what are you looking for? Like what are they looking for like in an early series? Because I'm like I think you're onto something, Simi, because like I'm thinking of all the chapters, all the early series, and like there's no real precedent here to follow. Like, oh, we see this series did this, and this series also did that. That's why it got past this mark. It's just like there's no real structure. Just like
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm gonna use freaking One Piece as an example. We all love One Piece, but what was the first chapter like? Luffy literally came out of a fucking bucket. I mean, if you look at the first chapter, and you look at what the fuck's going on now. No one would be able to guess that that's what Oda had in store.
mm-hmm.
He was given that chance, and now here we are. So why can't other series who actually have who have different types of startings, who have who are able to better intricate what they want to do in the future in their pilot chapters, not get the time of day? And not only that, they don't really say that we want this, we want that. It's just whatever. You could do a freaking normal adventure manga, you could do a sports manga, it's just fucking whatever. And it's all up to their whim. So it's like, come on now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's fair because Promise Neverland was something I didn't really think would be a Jump series.
Oh yeah. That's what I was gonna throw out there. I'm like, that first chapter is like that got me more than enough. Like when I got to the end of that, I'm like, all right, we're good. I know this is gonna be fire.
In the first chapter, I don't know the first chapter, but in the first chapter of My Hero, does he tell him at the end you can become a hero? Like at the final panel of the first chapter, you remember?
I got the I have the first volume. So hold on, let me see.
Because I'm trying to remember, like maybe sometimes I feel like maybe you need some kind of iconic like cliffhanger.
Wasn't it that moment when he like finishes up with the garbage piling thing on the beach and like it's him in the sunlight and whatever?
I have no idea I don't remember how like the first chapter ends, guys. I haven't read the series yet, but I feel like one of the first like big moments is him being like, "Yo, you can become a hero." He puts his hand out, whatever, and he's looking up to it. The same way like when Luffy gets the hatch from Shanks. So, okay, so all right, maybe something like that maybe something, I don't know. I couldn't tell you what the reason is behind it, but I do think they're a little too harsh. I think. See, but even a year is kind of long. Maybe I don't know, but you want to give them a chance to grow, man, because you can't get your story off the ground if it's gonna be longer in 20 chapters or so, 13 or so, and you don't want your chapters to just be full chock pile of information, chapter for chapter, because they're like, why don't you just make a fucking light novel at this point, right? So
yeah. Well, I mean, I guess that's another thing too, right? Like maybe it's not just like because we're talking about a story almost specifically here, but like, what about the visuals, right? Like, what about like the corporate politics that went into like actually giving you that chance, like as a mangaka, to like get published in Jump in the first place, right? So there might be all kinds of things like that that are outplayed that we don't get to see because we're on the outside, we're not like inside Jump.
That's fair, but yeah, I mean. And then I don't know. I guess this one the sales, man. Maybe that's what it is. If it's not selling, there's like, well, you out. Get the fuck up on my magazine. Do you want to talk about the female things since we're on this kind of topic, like the representation in like mangaka? Like, what did you want to say about that?
Oh yeah, most definitely. I would like to talk about just the overall presence of female mangaka versus male mangaka, since we know that the industry is mostly dominant with males and whatnot, but what about the females? Like, do you think that are there any females that are aspiring to be mangaka, or why do you think that that there aren't that many? Because once upon a time, in a magical era, when manga was first on its baby legs, the shoujo genre still existed. However, the shoujo genre was mostly created by guys. Like, all the shoujo manga that's coming out that was in the 50s and 60s were created by guys.
I didn't know that.
And it wasn't until the 70s where a few women stepped up and started creating shoujo manga, and this era was called the Year 24 group. And basically it was a group of like 15 to 16-year-old girls who entered a contest from Kodansha, who had a manga contest, and they all debuted, and they helped basically build the entire shoujo genre to what it is today. Like, they revolutionized it. Mm-hmm. They made it good, from what the critics say. So what was the difference between then, where we have a whole group of women creating a manga and creating entire genres, such as shoujo, such as Shonen AI, and so on and so forth, such magical girl and stuff like that, to now where we could barely even list any. I mean, I only know of one actual female manga, and that's the woman who made Reborn. Actually, no, I think two,
Okay.
and also the woman who made Mirai Nikki.
Okay, I got to give you Akira Amano, Miko Takahashi, Hiroshi Arakawa, is her name, from Fullmetal and stuff. What's the
Shino from D-Grammy?
Yeah, Shinobu from I think she does Maggie, and now what's it called? Orient? A new one?
Yeah.
Orient.
Orient.
I mean, I could think of a few, but I mean, it's definitely way more male dominated. But I think part of it too is because the readers also, I think, maybe are probably mostly male. And I also find that a lot. Sorry. I also find out sometimes a lot, and like when I see them in the magazines, like I didn't know for a while Magi was written by a girl, because sometimes I feel like she shafted a lot of her characters, but I'm like, why would you do that as a female reader? But then I'm thinking to myself, maybe because she knows like the audience is probably predominantly male, so there's certain things she got to do to appease the audience, and maybe a lot of them don't want to do that shit because like maybe they don't want to do ecchi, they don't want to do shit for the male gaze, so it's kind of hard to be in that industry because it's like you got to do what's gonna sell to a certain degree.
Well, I mean, in the case of Magi, it's a shonen manga, so it's to be expected that
Yeah.
right? So that's why. But in regards to female writers and whatever, I think part of it too is that we're guys, so naturally, like we're actually going to like be more pushed towards like manga that are actually for men, as opposed to manga for women. So that's why it's a little bit harder in that sense, I think. And let's not forget that like they did do Shoujo Beat at one point too, right? As like a sister to Shonen Jump. So like it's not that I don't want to say that there is no representation or anything, but you're right. Like it's certainly like less like female heavy than it is in other industries, I guess.
Well, they're not in the spotlight, if anything.
Yeah, certainly not. I mean, but like here and there, like there are a lot of series that do push through. Like you got Nana, you got Tsubasa, Card Captors, like
Yeah, but that's the thing. But you see, when were all those series you listed came out? Exactly.
Yeah.
They came out mid 2000s, early 2000s, 90s. What about now? And as I said, the Year 24 group was inspired by male mangaka. So what's the difference between then and now?
Yeah,
It's just a very strange thing because I mean, there's no real reason for them to have disappeared. Regardless if they're creating a manga for guys or for girls, they know what to do and they know what they want to write. So it's like, why don't females want to aspire to become manga anymore?
Maybe it could be part of it. It could be. I don't have enough insight on this particular topic to go in depth. Like it could be maybe the workplace environment kind of thing. Maybe that's annoying because a bunch of guys there. Shit, I couldn't tell you though.
I mean, yeah, I think it's that and like money too, right? Like mangaka don't make that much unless you're very successful, right?
You gotta love what you're doing.
Yeah, for sure.
Cause they be putting so many niggas through the sweatshop.
yeah.
Chapter every week. Like it's actually way more chill out here because here you can like take a break, do it every month, one issue a month. You don't have to do it every week and shit.
Yeah, I mean, I know one of my favorite manhwa artists. She was a female, and like she
was.
Yeah, because she passed away because of cancer.
Oh.
Oops.
So she was 19.
You said that like she stopped. Well,
I mean, she stopped like living.
I thought she transitioned. That's why I thought you said that.
No.
I'm sorry. Continue.
No, it's all good. But like in her situation too, like she like even on her like when she was hospitalized because of the cancer, like she was still in her like bed and still trying to draw like her series.
Chill.
Like it's like that's the kind of thing, right? Like who wants to go through that or something like that? You know what I mean? Like it takes that level of dedication, and I guess like maybe just some people don't want that, or like they don't appreciate like that kind of lifestyle, right? It's a lot to take in, right? So I think that's a problem too. That like it's not just mangaka. Anybody who's an artist, like they'll all tell you that like, oh, it's a real struggle out there. Like people think that like, oh, just because you know it's your passion or whatever, like that somehow correlates to you not getting paid or like not making money. Like it doesn't make any sense, right? Like just because it's meant to be like for entertainment, for like you know beauty's purposes and like aesthetic and whatever, like that's no reason to not like pay people a fair wage. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's I think maybe a big.
Kyle, what are your thoughts on the? You said
On female manga, yeah, I wish there were more because like I don't know, I just feel like they make. I feel like they make from the few female manga like the few manga made by female manga that I've read. I don't know, I really enjoy. Like they have a good sense of like the way the characters are drawn and stuff. Like for example, Reborn, D Grimman, and FMA, like the characters are all dressed really well. Like I don't know, I just feel like they have a good fashion sense. Sounds like a really minor like you know feat, but I don't know. I like female manga.
Just not at all. They bring a lot of diversity to the industry. Most definitely.
Exactly.
They have a really strong, like they have a very unique, like very nice nuance that like you don't get from male mangaka. I think that's what it is. Like and how the characters are like shaped, like how their relationships are, how their stories pan out. Like female manga take it to a very different like playing field.
Yes, exactly. Like for example, the Year 24 group, the type of shoujo manga that they was creating had radical and philosophical issues in it, such as sexuality and gender. So versus the shoujo manga that males were creating back in the 50s that was just freaking slapstick. So it's like, come back, please.
Yeah, for sure. Damn, that's what you want, my guy. You want like more like conscious thought, not just you know whatever it is like meathead qualities that like are in our everyday, right?
And titties. Okay, so while we're on this note, because I just think it kind of segues pretty well. How do you feel about like Japanese, not Japanese media, I guess, just manga and anime, and like how female characters themselves are represented in like anime and manga and stuff, like because
not very well.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't think they're represented well at all. Like usually, oftentimes they're made to like be the characters that are like weak, and the main character needs to like the main male character needs to save them from some great evil or something like that. Or like they're like there's the super tough chicks, which is like they're kind of like going too hard, you know, to like fight the norm, I guess. Like it's okay to make a character that is about love and is about romance, like a female character that you know is about like romance and dating, and also is like a character that likes to fight and you know be strong like that. Like for example, Alita from Battle Angel Alita.
Raw.
She's very all about that fighting shit. She loves fighting, but like she also has like a sweet side to her. Like whenever she gets into like a relationship with like a male character in the manga, which I think is the best way to do it. That's the best example I can come up with. Like there needs to be like a duality between like the combat aspects of a female fighter and the romantic aspects.
I just find that like with anime and manga, I don't know, they're either used as a plot, like kind of like a plot device to like, you know, they die and motivate somebody, or they just fall under a dere category, dandere, yandere, tsundere, like, and then like I'll just roll my eyes the moment I see that, cause I can't handle it anymore. I can't fucking take it. See, it's like I might just lose my fucking mind. Like I'll just stop. Like I can't really take it anymore. And it's like it's kind of weird to me because I feel like it hasn't changed at all since I kind of started reading manga. Whereas like with Western stuff, like comic book and stuff, I can see the diversity pushed way harder. Like if you ask me this same question about like comic books, my answer is completely different. I'm like, bro, I could, from Rat Queens to like Monstress, so many great narratives of these great female characters and great female leads and all that stuff too. But you ask me the question in manga, like even in my favorite series, I'm like, bro, there's a lot of damsels in distresses in One Piece. You know what I'm saying? Like, not even, you know, so it's weird because I went through like a phase. I remember like I want to say 2013, I think it was, where I was legitimately like I just want series with the predominantly female cast and female characters, but they're like good, and that's how I got into like Bubblegum Crisis and Dirty Pair and That's when I watched Puella Magica Madoka and shit like that. It's because I was trying to find. I mean, I'm kind of like, yo, these guys treat the characters like these female characters like trash sometimes. And I'm like trying to find somewhere where they're not fucking whack.
I think that's a big part of it. Like the representation that they have generally for female characters is just not good, right? Like you guys have really said it all, that like they don't have that same like depth, I want to say, that like they give to male characters, right? Like there's none of that like internal strength that like so often characterize shonen MCs and things, right? Like in just about every series, I think there's always at least one damsel in distress, and even when a woman is particularly strong, like somehow she is just completely like undone by this whole, you know, romantic experience or whatever it is, right? And I'm just like, what? Like, why can't people just have it together? Like, what's wrong with that? Like, I'm sure there are plenty of women out there, I'm sure, who are like plenty capable. They don't need to do, you know, whatever. It's not like they're going around swooning for any man that, you know, happens to be nice to them for once or whatever it is. Like, that's not what it is. You know what I mean? So why bother representing them like that? Like, that's not, it doesn't like respect the reality of like what we have right now, right?
Yeah. And it surprised me sometimes because like remember I was saying earlier, like with Akira Amano, right? I'm like, your female characters are garbage in the series. All of them, not one, are good. From Suna's mom being a bonehead with the dad, you know, like he's never around, and she just goes, oh yeah, he's so great and awesome. Like he's never here. Your whole son has a fucking like identity crisis because his dad is not around, and this is what you're doing. You know, they have Haru and Kyoko literally in the kitchen. No.
So
that guy.
Bro, the whole future arc, they were in the kitchen and doing laundry. I'm like, you can't be fucking serious.
Hey yo, I mean, yeah, they're completely like fucking 100% represented like shit, and I mean freaking complete shit. For every Alita that you get 50 Ikitosens. Even when you go and look for series that are 100% female cast, you get shit like fucking Ikitosen. And let's not get it wrong. I freaking like Ikitosen, but again, women aren't just freaking tools for entertainment. They're not just there for sex appeal either. They're not just there for romance aspects either. They're fucking human beings. So it's like, come on, do something. And even when people get it right, they still kind of get it wrong anyways. Like, I believe that Kinoko Nasu was able to do a pretty good job with his female characters. I mean, you have he's created 4 strong leads with Ryogi Shiki, Saber, Arcwade, and Aoko Aozaki. I believe he's able to create good female characters. However, when he first created Fate and Tsukihime, what did they have? Sex scenes. So, and they was pretty useless. They was, and even though I don't believe that those sex scenes did fully degraded his female characters, they were still completely pointless, and there was no point in them. That's why the 8 scenes in Fate Night only exist in the original print of the game, and every single reprint or every single rebrand of the game has them removed. So it's like, yo, this WTF is wrong with y'all. Y'all could do better. And you know for a fact that it's not an issue at all because it doesn't change. Like, people think it's funny because Westerners think that the same problems that we face over here in America is in Japan.
Yeah.
It fucking isn't. You see people complaining about gay representation and female representation in anime and Japanese video games and whatnot. They don't fucking give a shit over there. They don't.
No, they definitely don't have the same issues.
Yeah, nowhere near the freaking as high a priority as it is over here, and it's clear as day. So it's like, yo, y'all just gotta do better. It's fucking ridiculous.
We need more black characters, I guess, in Japan.
Yo. But actually, Naya, like what you were saying too about what's her face?
Kirama.
Yes, in like when she created Chrome, right? And she's being like possessed by what's his face?
Mukuro.
Mukuro Udo.
right? Like the entire, I swear to God, from the start, the minute she gets introduced, I'm expecting big things from her. Tell me how she didn't do anything this entire series. Like, what is your purpose? Like, you're not supposed to be here then. Go away.
She's trash. Lao was trash too. I just like, I don't know.
That's what I mean. Lal Mirch didn't even do anything. Like,
she got saved by Colonello, and then he became like a proper Alcabadeiro.
Yeah, what the hell is that about? Are you kidding me? Like, how are you just gonna go around shafting all the female characters? Like, no sexual and innuendo intended. But like, how are you just gonna do this?
Well, in the case of Shonen Jump manga, you have to remember that they also have their editors down their back. So as I said in I believe it was the first episode of MangaHEADZ. I said it somewhere anyways. I can't fucking remember, but manga a lot of the time, but maybe it was a timeline. Manga a lot of the times they don't ever get to fully write what they want to write. They write what the editors think that the readers want to read.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I really dislike when shonen series have a very big cast, because at the end of the day, the cast is going to get shafted no matter how you look at it. Yeah. People are going to gravitate more towards certain characters, and the characters that don't get that popularity are going to get shafted and move to the back line. It happens all of the time. And with editors specifically telling you, nah, you have to focus on this character, focus on this character, focus on that character. There's nothing to do. There's no leg room. So it's like, come on now.
Like you hear stuff like all the time. Like I know one is false. Apparently, like the whole Frieza saga thing ending there. Apparently, that's false. But I think I remember reading. I don't know if I could be wrong. Kyle might know, but like I think Sasuke was never meant to be that important. But one of the things was like he'd be like a cool rival thing. You should make him a rival, and that's how Sasuke came into that role.
It has something to do with he wanted like the main character rival to sort of be like Hiei from Yu Yu Hakusho. You could find that definitely online. But yeah, like Sasuke's supposed to be like a rival, kind of like Hiei to Yusuke. Yeah.
But I think like one thing that could like that makes like female characters like cool is like if you could find like a competent like content creator that like explores the things that inherently make women like men different, like what society expects from us, exploring and breaking those stereotypes, and obviously like the biological difference. Like the reason why I read like Wolf Children is like Hannah is a great character because of like her trials and tribulations of being a single mom raising these fucking supernatural kids, right? And she's a fantastic character. She didn't really fall into any of the things that I hate seeing from like female characters in like manga and shit. So I think they should play around with that stuff sometimes too. But I think some people are scared too, because like, oh, I don't want to play with I don't know, I'm not a girl, I'm not a mother, so I can't do shit like this. But I'm like, you gotta like. You just gotta do better, man. You just gotta do better, bro. I never get fucking. I know it was jumping stuff with. God damn, they had Haru and in the kitchen.
Every single opening, every single episode, they in the kitchen. They got the aprons on. They washing their clothes.
I couldn't fucking believe like this. Is all we could do. I'm like, I don't know. I feel like you could do something else.
Actually, I like that she's moved a little bit away from that with Live, because the female lead in that is actually fairly capable. So at least there's that. But like, oh god, the kitchen scenes are just too much. You can't wipe those out. Like those things happen.
That's just funny to me. But all right, let's move on from that, buddy. No. All right, so the difference between shonen and seinen manga, because I feel like I definitely people who talk about it, I'm like, you don't even know what you're talking about.
Oh boy, oh my lord, we're in for a treat. Well, one of y'all start, please.
The difference between seinen and shonen manga, there really is no difference besides the magazines they're published in. Like people would say all the time that like, oh, Hunter x Hunter is like a seinen, but it's a shonen manga too. Like there really is no difference. There's seinen manga that focus on like schoolgirls and shit, like high school, like K-On! For example is seinen, right? I believe, and it's like about a bunch of like high school girls playing music. It's slice of life. And there's shonen out there that also have slice of life elements as well. This is what when people say like something's a shonen and like there's not like there aren't like shonen slice of life out there is weird, because like I know when they think of shonen, they're thinking of something like Bleach or Naruto or One Piece or Yu Yu Hakusho, stuff like that. They're thinking of like action shonen, but there's a whole bunch of other shonen manga out there that aren't action. There's shonen romance, shonen slice of life, shonen psychological. There's a whole bunch of different genres that like in those shonen demographic magazines.
Mhm. I mean, end of the day, it's really just it's a demographic. Shonen does that like isn't it like literally translate to like young man or young men?
Yeah,
Shonen literally means boy.
Yeah, or something like that,
Like
right?
when you watch freaking anime and they say boy, they don't just say boy or something like that.
Yeah,
They'll say shonen.
yeah. Um, and then with seinen, it's supposed to be targeted to like older, I think older males. Then Josei's older women, and then shoujo's younger or teenage girls or whatever it is. So really, it's a demographic thing. But I mean, you find tons of series that are supposed to be seinen, and you're like, this is no different from something you could find in Weekly Shounen Jump. And then, like you said, with Hunter x Hunter, or like even something like not that Promised Neverland is so like, ooh, so dark and edgy, you can't be in Jump, but it's not something I would think I would find in Jump, especially not right now.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. And then, and like Kyle said, there's like just other shit too. There's sports, there's slice of life things that are not connected to ball manga. I think people just kind of think shonen, and they go, ooh, your Dragon Ball Z's and your Naruto's of the world, and shit like that.
Exactly.
But just like when I hear people talk about like, oh, like if you don't want blah blah, go read a seinen. I'm like, that's not the answer. like
No, that's not what it is at all.
oh yeah, you don't want to see this, and you have to go be seinen because there's so much better, yo. Like there's so much better. Oh, it's darker, blah blah. I'm like, that's actually not the case.
No,
That's not true. Yeah.
There's tons of generic seinen too, so it's like.
Actually, what I was gonna say is that I think the difference between shonen and seinen is really more about what they get from actual data mining, because you look at you look at grown men here in North America, right? And there are people who are really into like My Little Pony, right? It's true. Like there's a whole segment. Like
they're called bronies, right? Yeah.
yeah, like there are like grown men like who are like into that kind of thing, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like if that's what you like, that's what you like. Like it's not my place to say like whatever it is, right? But like at the end of the day, it comes down to like what is it that people in a certain demographic are into, and what do they want to see, right? And what kind of time constraints do they have, and all this other stuff. So when you talk about like how K-On! is a seinen, like that to me kind of makes a little bit of sense, because like what goes on is like it's not wholly nonsense like in terms of storytelling, and it's like a 4-panel like comic strip, right? So just quick, like you're in, you're out, you're enjoying your series. Like there's nothing holding you there for like a long period of time. Like maybe you got a lot of work to do, maybe you have other things, right? Like so I think that is also like a factor into like deciding like what is a seinen series.
Yeah, it's just a demographic. I used to say that it was both a demographic and a genre, but nah, it's just a demographic. Yeah. As we already stated, shonen literally means boy. Seinen literally means older adult male. That's it. The only real technical difference is seinen can get away with more explicit content, so they could show like fucking dicks and shit. And whatnot.
Like that.
Yeah, that's really the only difference between them. They're like people. You can really tell when somebody's talking out of their ass with shonen and seinen. Like people gotta tell you to go freaking read Berserk because it's so dark and it's so gory. But listen, in Kaneko Man, Ramen Man literally ripped Brocken Man in half. So it's like, come on now. I'm not hearing none of this. It's just people talk. It's just people trying to be elitist, but they don't know how to be an elitist.
Yep.
Fucking stupid.
These are the same people that will pause an anime in a mid frame and be like, the animation is bad. Look at this, it's blurry, blah blah. And I'm like,
right?
You could just tell that you never even heard of the concept bounce and stretch. Like a very basic animation tool to like give your characters fluidity and movement and like them like move around nicely. Like you never even heard of that because like they're like they'll pause something like, yo, look, why are you doing like this? I'm like, oh yeah, the animation trash. I was like, yes, I don't even have the energy to correct you.
I mean, that should be funny though.
That's some foolishness, yo. I can't believe people say that. That's ridiculous. I've never heard anybody say that to me. Thank God, but like that's ridiculous.
And the number one thing that I hate seeing is, oh yeah, this is a really good anime. They want to put some other budget into it. Budget is not what makes an anime look good. It's predominantly your pre-production schedule. That's predominantly what helps you a lot. If you have a good schedule and good pace and you get a lot of stuff like ahead of time, like your anime probably look good, but obviously at the end of the day, it's your fucking staff. It's the individual people who are working on it. Are they competent? Can they work fast under pressure? Are they efficient, et cetera, et cetera? It's not budget. Because people think One Punch Man got all this fucking money and they didn't.
No, that's not what it is. Yeah.
I mean, well, I think that there is still budget is still in it a little bit because
it helps. But that's not the. That's not the.
But
that's not the make or break of it. That's what it is.
I mean, well, that's the thing. That's what I'm about to get at. It can be because there is an example I'm about to tell you that you can't argue against, and that example is Neon Genesis Evangelion.
I have no idea how much money that they got, so I couldn't tell you. But Alan hates that series.
What I'm saying, why? Because you're talking about budget and animation.
Mm-hmm.
And budget still has a thing to do with it because
they ran out of money at the end.
Yes.
The last okay.
Ran out, and the last episode was literally just stills.
It's fucking nonsense.
Stills. Yeah, 23 minutes. So it's like it is most definitely in it. But again, like if you look, like for example, if you look at Studio Period, for example, Studio Period basically created what a lot of people our ages consider what anime was. They created Naruto, they created Bleach, they created Flame of Recca. There are a lot of long-running shonen series they created, and all of those anime look great. Now look at today's age. Look at Tokyo Ghoul's anime. Exactly. So there is budget in it. Yeah, it is, but there's way more to it than just budget.
Than just the money.
Because, like, for example, another example would be Studio Dean. When you look at Studio Dean's animation, the art looks kind of amateurish, but the animation is fucking fire. Look at something like Zero no Tsukaima or what is that? What is that isekai anime called that just came out? The fucking
Zero?
No. It's another one. The one with the freaking explosion, bitch.
I have no idea you're talking about.
Shit.
But Zero no Tsukaima is raw.
Yeah, but I'll use Zero no Tsukaima as an example. The art in that is not exactly crisp or super sharp, anything like that. However, when you see freaking when you see Hero fighting, when his fight scenes in that, when it's actually in that, it's fucking clean, it's smooth, and it fucking looks nice. But we're off on a tangent. We're still talking about manga here. Shonen and seinen, there's no real difference. It's just who's it targeted by. Light novels, for example, are all seinen by default because they're targeted towards older teens and young adults from like 17 to 20 something. And look at the filth that fills up the light novel bins, all isekai stuff. So it's like it's not about maturity at all. It's just who they want to target. People talking about, I mean, yes, we all know we all talking about that very infamous tweet that we saw, but we're not gonna name names. But yeah, that seat was complete fucking nonsense. It was, it's showing had nothing to do with content.
Yeah, it's just at the end of the day, it's just demographic, man. So you also talk about the availability of manga in the U.S. Now back in the day and stuff. I think we kind of talked about like the light novels, not light novels, something about the publishing of it like last time. But I mean, there's like I've seen a huge even sometimes me and Alan will be in like the chapters and we're like, what the fuck? This is being officially published and it's this far. Like,
oh man,
I'm kind of shocked by the amount of things we've seen. But yeah, manga out.
I mean, oh my lord! I wish the shit that freaking people have nowadays. I wish we had that back then.
Yeah,
all the shit that even the manga quality that we got back then was complete shit. It was first of all, it was left to right. It wasn't even right to left. It was fucking left to right. A lot of the manga that we got back in the early 2000s, mid 2000s was left to fucking right. The page quality was ass.
Yeah.
The translation was ass.
Oh my god, the yellow pages.
And the content was freaking censored. Now they have like every fucking manga under the sun is getting an English release. I mean, they're freaking caught up to Dorohedoro for Christ's sake in English. That's fucking unbelievable. Ikigami has a freaking English volumes, and they're caught up with that too. Shit like what is it? Psycho MPD or something like that. I forgot the name of it.
MPD Psycho, right?
Yeah, that has English volumes.
I did not know
Later
that.
Than Mortal has English volumes. Blame has English volumes. Jin has English volumes. Bloody Monday has English volumes.
Yeah, that surprised the crap out of me. Jeez.
Cage of Eden has English volumes. It's like, yo, anime is not niche anymore. Period. You go to any type of bookstore, they'll have a whole section. It's not just one or two shelves, like a whole row, A through Z, actually numbers through Z, with mangas
and light novels too. I was on my fucking college campus bookstore. They were selling light novels in there.
It's fucking amazing, and I absolutely love it. I just love the availability of it because now there's no excuse. We have it right in front of our eyes. We could support it. We could find out new series, and not only that, but with the resurgence of Toonami on Adult Swim, it's most definitely a wonderful time. People don't have it hard. I mean, even before my time, and with my sister's time and whatnot, anime was coming out on fucking local channels, 4 o'clock in the morning. If you wanted to watch anime, you had to fucking tape trade, get them off of VHS. You had to go to freaking Chinese DVD stores and tape trade them. Go in the bargain bin and shift through what you could find. Now they're fucking everywhere. You got Right Stuff. You have Amazon. You have Barnes and Noble. Any type of hobby shop or bookstore, they're all there. Numerous series. Dr. Stone is getting fucking English volumes. Promised Neverland has English volumes. Black Clover has English volumes. Boku no Hero has English volumes. Soma has English volumes. All of the shit that's running through Shounen Jump right now has English volumes. It's absolutely amazing, man. It's beautiful.
And there's those subscriptions and like the Netflix stuff. I don't know how Netflix and streaming services help, but people be watching anime on those things too, which sometimes leads them into like trying out some other shit too. Because I don't use Netflix at all. I torrent everything because I'm a monster. But
let's go.
Like people will be like, "Oh, you're on Netflix," and I saw this, and I'm like, "What in the world is this doing on Netflix?" Like, and I'm like impressed. I think. Oh, I can't remember what it was. The Boy and the Beast. I think one of them was like that. Like that. A lot of people I know that don't watch anime watch The Boy and the Beast, and like you heard of this movie? I'm like, oh yeah, I watched it. I mean, it was alright. It was cool until the guy turned into a sword. But yeah, I watch a lot of shit now. Even like My Hero. My Hero, it's like the one currently a lot of people watch.
Yep.
Yep. And you know what surprised me about that too? The dub almost comes out like almost the same time or just a couple days after. So the episodes are not even really behind. Because my sister watched the episode. Yeah.
Simul dubs.
Okay.
So,
yeah,
they dub them the same time that the Japanese dub comes out.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, there's sometimes when the dubs will be the premiere for the series. Space Dandy being the example of that.
Oh, that's dope.
So, and Netflix most definitely helped with anime because I remember when Netflix first got their app and whatnot on PS3, they didn't have fucking nothing. I was watching fucking Girls Bravo on that shit. Now,
the first thing I watched on Netflix was X-Men.
Now they fucking have. They don't have everything, nor is it as big as Hulu's library, I think, but they have fucking heavy hitters.
Yeah, they have some quality on that. I admit, yeah.
Locals on Netflix. Period. Locals love Netflix. Mm-hmm. They see that shit, and anime is on the front page. They don't hesitate to click it. Netflix, you see, anime has helped Netflix so much that they've gotten exclusive rights to stream certain series, such as Seven Deadly Sins.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wait, Devilman, right? Devilman Crybaby?
That too.
Devilman. I was gonna say Castlevania, yeah. Violet Evergarden. I mean, it's kind of a good time to be a fan, but it comes with a lot of AIDS. But
yeah, for sure. The cancer.
It's good though. It's good though. Yeah, and a lot of misinformation.
Oh yeah, that's definitely a big part of it too.
That's one of the things that bothers me about a lot of things. I don't really care. Like, do what you do, but I don't really. I hate people who are misinformed and spread it like they really know, and I'm just like, no.
It's always the misinformed who talk the loudest, but then they complain when people like me are gatekeepers. You do it to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, this is another thing too that like maybe like we don't have like a really great kind of like infrastructure for that kind of thing, right? Like, there's no person going out there and getting like a PhD in manga or something, right? Like, but we have that for English literature, right? So because there's no like standardization and there's no like higher institution for that kind of thing.
Mhm.
I think like that's a big part of it too, right? That like we don't talk about that kind of stuff, we don't explore that kind of stuff. So like even now, like if you go to like some art schools and things, like they don't consider the way that manga is to be an art style. They just consider that to be nonsense, right? So
Mhm.
it's just stuff like that.
I think that's a border that probably will never get crossed though, because I mean, since it's foreign and whatnot, and since schools don't consider manga as actual books and shit like that,
Mhm.
that being an actual like um genre to study or topic to study, major to study, I don't think that will ever see the light of day in the U.S. But only if things like I really think that magazines such as I'm sorry I keep cutting you off. I really think that things like magazines being gone helped with the very misinformed generation of today, because back when I was a wee derp and even before then, niggas had new type. New type was the shit. New type was your information for fucking anime. They had reviews, they had new series, they had demo DVDs, they had everything. And New Type wasn't even the only anime magazine that was out. There was other magazines too. New Type was the way I found out about Flame of Recca. New Type was the way that my sister found out about a lot of anime that she knows about today.
Mhm.
And that magazine, that subscription really helped anime get its footing here in the US before the age of information, before the age of technology really flew off. Things like New Type really did help, and I think that now that they're gone, that's what helps people not know what the difference between this, that, and the other.
Yeah, for sure. But I
Yeah.
mean, like with the level of like study that goes into like filmography and like cinematography and art and all this other stuff, like I don't see why like exploring like given the range, like years worth of stuff is out there when it comes to what is available both anime wise and manga wise, right? So I mean, it's not like there isn't like a whole realm of like possibility to explore in that field, right?
I'm starting a One Piece course.
Like maybe it's like maybe I'm being too like academic focused about that, but like I think like that's an important aspect of like really helping things be more standardized, because like once you start getting like a lot of that institutional setups like happening, then people get that better understanding. Like who you can rely on to like get those kind of resources, right? You like because like what you're talking about right now with this new type, right? Like the only reason that you can like the reason that you bring that up is because of what it did like for you, right? But again, like that was also an institutional thing. Like it's a magazine, right? And they screened it, they published it, they did a lot of stuff in order to make it worthwhile, right? So there's a lot of research that went into that kind of stuff, right? I'm just saying that like that kind of thing needs to be more prevalent, I think, right? It's not just that like, okay, you read one manga, you watch one anime, and boom, you suddenly
That's it.
you know?
And yeah, that's the thing. It's like, because back then they didn't have we didn't have freaking vast internet and whatnot, shit like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So they had New Type was there, but they also had TV subscription. They had Anime Network. They had a block called Anime TV, where actual English dub actors got together for an hour and reviewed
And like talk about
anime.
stuff. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So, and then when you take all of that away and you limit anime only to one anime club for every 50 schools that there is in your state, what is there for people to do?
Yeah, and actually that's another thing too. Like you can't even rely on the online sources sometimes because like anybody can post anything online, you know what I mean? So like if there's no governing body or there's nobody saying that like okay, that's not the case or that's not the case, right? Like you need somebody who's actually like knowledgeable about the field work in order to really talk about, like what is quality, what is not quality, like what makes a good manga, what makes a bad manga, right? So it's those kind of things, right? And
Yeah,
that's just lost. Like I can understand why like early on like they had to axe those things, right? Is because like like maybe there wasn't a lot of support because really like maybe 20 years ago or so, like they didn't have that kind of support. But now, like, there's no reason to not reintroduce those kind of things. At least in my mind, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like new type still runs in Japan, so I really don't see why there wouldn't be a resurgence here in America. Same thing, like they used to publish Shounen Jump magazines in English. Now they don't.
Yeah,
it's fucking stupid. And things like an actual information sites such as Mal, for example, locals don't know what the fuck that is, nor will they ever. So it's like they don't have the information, or they don't know how to acquire the information to be correct in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
It's just unfortunate on their part, anyways.
I always tell them, just ask me. I'll let you know.
Yeah. That's actually also pretty good. Like if you're already well versed or whatever it is, like it makes sense that like people should come to you about that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean they usually do, but then I have the apes who just ask me, "Can One Punch Man be Ultra Instinct Goku?"
Yo, that's so irritating.
I can't stand that. Sometimes it pisses me off. That's all they ask me.
That's actually the worst. That's actually the worst. Like there's so much more that goes into it than just whether somebody can beat down somebody else.
Right? Because can this fictional character beat this fictional character? That's all they fucking care about. That's all they care about. Oh my god.
That's crazy. Like why are these that basic, my guy? Jeez.
What do you say, Kyle?
Do people really come up to you and ask like, "Can One Punch Man be Ultra Instinct Goku?" like all the time?
You would be surprised by the amount of questions. Like I complain about this shit sometimes on Twitter, but like it's not a joke because I posted, like, you'll see this, like, bro, this is what people ask me on a day-to-day basis. Like, okay, well, what was it the other day? It was something super stupid. I can't remember the last one that was really dumb, but I was like, but as soon as Goku got that new form, everyone was like, okay, can he One Punch Man? I'm like, oh my god, please stop.
Yeah, that sounds so annoying. Yeah.
I don't.
Oh.
No, people really need to stop that kind of thing, man. Like, there's so much more to a series than whether like one fictional character can beat down another fictional character. Like, if you want to talk about something, like talk about like the animation, or like where you think the story is going, or like, you know, like the purpose of the story, maybe even, right? Like that stuff is more interesting than just the surface level like crap that like everybody deals with every day. Like it's once you get into the thick of like what is a story, right, or what is happening in the story, that's what makes a story interesting. Right?
And then like I'm like I like to go above and beyond, because I like when I'm analyzing something or talking about something, then I'm not just being like okay, you know how when we talk about music, because you're so musically like talented and stuff, like you can be like, oh, I heard like a crescendo or something. You can literally specifically talk about why the music made you feel this way, or blah blah. As opposed to music be like, oh, I like the music, it was raw. You could go into detail, right?
Yeah.
Like for me, I like to look behind the scenes about the people who made it and how they made it and stuff like that. So when I'm talking about it, I'm not just being like, oh yeah, they look cool. I can be like, oh no, like I understand stop motion animation. Like this is how much effort they put into making like something like Kubo and the Two Strings. It took them this many years, this long to make this one scene, you know? So I like to look behind the scenes and see this stuff. Like even Avatar, like how many people they brought in from who are real martial artists to get the bending styles to mesh with the appropriate styles, right? Like, you know, you want the, you know, earth bending to look more like, you know, sturdy and whatnot, and water is more fluid, you know, air is free of movement and stuff like that. So I look for those things because I like to know.
But what you're talking about right there, that is actually maybe the most important thing, because at the end of the day, like whatever you're watching, whatever you're reading, that's created by somebody else. They had their own truth and their own mindset about whatever it was that they created, right? Like we're free to interpret kind of whatever is going on and like however things got done, right? But like if you really want to know the truth of like a particular series, or, you know, like show or a film or whatever it is, right? Like you have to go to like the original process, the people who created the series, right? You look at what kind of work they did, what kind of things that they like put together, and like what kind of mindset they did all that stuff with, right? Then you really get like a deeper understanding of like what is happening in certain scenes, right? Or like in certain character dialogues and certain character build-ups, right?
Yeah, because like a lot of people, like, you know, they watch My Hero, they like My Hero, and then I'll be like, oh yeah, you know, I'll be like, Horikoshi's pretty good doing this, and they're like, what the hell are you talking about?
Right? Yeah.
Like, Horikoshi is literally the person who created the thing you like. That's like the bare minimum. Please know the person who.
Yeah, like just do that. Like that's not even asking too much in my mind. Like that's almost like
I said Horikoshi, and they looked at me sideways, like, "What? Was that a spell? Did you cast something on me?"
My face when people refer to freaking Knigman as Ultimate Muscle.
Yeah.
But that goes back into the misinformed thing, because when you have people who've only watched Dragon Ball on Cartoon Network back in fucking 2003, fast forward to 2018, and now they're watching freaking fast forward to 2017 or 16, whenever OPM anime came out, and they're watching One Punch Man. The only thing that they know is fucking hype beast. So of course they're gonna ask questions like, can Saitama beat Goku and shit like that? So it's like, it's just a bad cocktail, if you ask me, because they literally don't know any better, and especially coming from me, the elitist, you already know. It's like, give them a tiny, teeny bit of leeway, because like when you find those locals who watch shit like fucking Death Note and Code Geass, that's when you'll get more conversation, because those series weren't just about throwing hands.
Exactly.
When I see people who come up to me and say that they watch Death Note or that they like Code Geass, and I start talking to them about anime, what they start talking about? Psychological shit, strategy shit, mind shit. But when you go to a fucking hype beast and they see deep Dragon Ball, what are they talking about? Throwing hands. So it's like, it's just a bad cocktail, if you ask me. It's what they're exposed to, what they know. If the only thing that you know is shown in anime, then I mean, it's not really their fault. That's all they fucking know. They didn't know fucking other anime exists.
Yeah, and I think it's important to not shut down what they're into when they just started. Like, let them go through the motion, because like a lot of people, I remember at one point had trouble getting into stuff because people always be like, "Oh, that's trash. Don't do this. Don't do that." Blah blah blah. It's like, yo, if someone's watching Fairy Tail, I know you don't want to hear that. Let them watch Fairy Tail. It's fine. Don't be the person to shut them down. Because I remember Moon was watching Bleach, and all I wanted to do was be like, don't watch Bleach.
Yeah.
Watch something else. But like he's enjoying it. He's watching it. He's getting through it, and then let that be his gateway. It's fine. Let him watch Bleach and get into what he's getting into. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like I recommend series I do not like at all to people all the fucking time.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about me. It's about them. But that's why whenever somebody always asks me for a recommendation, the first thing I always ask is, what do you like to watch?
That's what it is. And
give me a genre. Like, what are you into?
That's another thing too. Some people go out of their way to say that, oh, I like everything, or just recommend anything.
My God,
I'm just like, no, do not do this to yourself. Like, are you kidding me? Don't lie to me and say that you love everything. Okay, like that's just not, like, blatantly not true. Okay, like everybody has a preference. Everybody has a type.
That's what I will ask. If you say that, I'm like, okay, but what is your preference, or what is the thing you like consume most? Like if I ask you for something, I'll be like, oh, I like cyberpunk, right? Yeah. So it's like, I don't know. It's funny though. It's funny seeing some of the newcomers come now, but it's nice to see though, because it's growing and whatnot.
For sure.
I mean, listen, freaking, I was watching fucking Inuyasha on Adult Swim. I ain't hearing shit out of nobody. I'm not trying to put down nobody, man. It don't even fucking matter. I just recommended. Y'all know how I feel about fucking Fullmetal Alchemist, and I just recommended somebody that shit, and they liked it. Again, it's not about me. It's about them, and it's about bringing them into the fandom.
Yeah, into the community, and like letting them. You gotta let them understand and ebb and flow and get into their own things their own way too, right? You can't just shut it down. Like, don't watch this, don't read that. It's trash. It's like, I know someone who started with Super, and people like, you can't watch Super first. Watch Dragon Ball. Like, are you an ape for that? Absolutely, but you went back. You went back and you watched Dragon Ball eventually, but I was like, okay, so all right, he started with Super, big whoop, all right, like let him
start with their own shit. You feel me?
Like, let him live his life.
People you have to understand. Again, it's funny because I am one of the biggest elitists I know, and I'm having this conversation.
Yeah,
you have to allow people to get their footing. Period. We all did, so you should allow everybody that privilege. They have the right. It's as simple as that. If somebody starts with fucking Super, you can't yell at them and say if you can watch Dragon Ball. Where the fuck they gonna watch Dragon Ball at? No, it's on American TV right now. What the fuck you gonna yell? It's fucking stupid. So it's like I'm a gatekeeper, but when it's necessary, you're gonna see me talking about shit like read the VN. When you have fucking people who, just as Hemming said earlier, go out of their way to spread misinformation.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Again, I was a casual one time. My introduction to Fate was through a fucking fighting game. So come on, it's
that's how I got into JoJo. I saw a
fucking
character
fighting.
I saw a character in a trailer I didn't recognize, and I went and looked it up.
Exactly. It's like you gotta just allow people to get their feet wet.
Yeah. You know what's funny though with JoJo? When I saw Dio with the road roller, I recognized that meme from way back. I'm like, this is the road roller guy. I was like, oh, it's him. And the joke is, I didn't even know it was Dio. That was him from part 1. It's when he literally brought out the road. I'm like, oh my god, I remember seeing this thing for years. Like,
jeez.
Yeah,
it's actually a serious throwback. Like, who has not seen that meme? Maybe only a handful of people. Like, maybe only a handful of people, really. Like, I mean, obviously, like, you have to know people, I guess, who are in the community and are, like, really into anime and whatever. But, like, it's something that is, like, very prevalent because JoJo has been around for so long.
Yeah.
Like, you'd be surprised about how many people don't know the meme that Tiger, Shauna, and Luis is the same character. You'd be surprised at how many people have never seen that infamous pig before.
Yeah.
They have no idea who those 3 are. So is it irritating to see? Yeah, but I mean, you gotta let new niggas be new niggas sometimes. You gotta let them get their feet wet. And then when they get their feet wet, you could say, all right, y'all, you ain't shit.
all right. So let's segue to like our. Let me see. It's not a segue. Let's just go into our last topic. Of the importance. I want to add anime to this. Like manga artwork importance, and like can you read a manga with bad art? And like I'm gonna do the same thing with animation. So character models and the fluidity of movement. How important is that to you when you're consuming a series?
I'll start. I think I'm a biased person about this topic because at the end of the day, I always gravitate towards older stuff, and I've done that since I was a kid. Like playing games, I'd go out of my way to play games before I was born and shit like that. I just like older things in general. But I really think that older art, sometimes, well, not even sometimes, a lot of the times, it's hard to come to grips with. Like, just period. If you tell somebody to go read the fucking original Astro Boy manga, you think they doing that shit? I mean, even coming from me, like, a lot of fucking manga from the early 80s, 70s, 60s, I just cannot tell what the fuck is going on. The art style is so different, and it's like they didn't ink anything when
it's hard to get good scans for all of those things too.
They didn't ink anything, so you can't really tell what the fuck what's what, and there was no backgrounds either. So it's kind of hard to tell. It's like a culture shock basically, but I think it's really something that should be looked over because, again, there was marvelous stories back then. It's how there's marvelous stories now. There was marvelous stories back then. It's not fair to the story itself to completely get shunned out just because of its art. Art evolves. Art styles change over time. So you can't fault a manga for drawing how manga looked back then. It's not fair at all, but it's like, especially for me, sometimes it's very hard to come to grips with older manga because like, yo, what the fuck am I looking at, man? Like, yo, sometimes I look at that fucking Saint Seiya art and I'm like, yo, huh? I'm like, they don't look my fucking deep. Like, it's not shaded at all. I can't tell what the fuck's what. Like, they look fused with the background. Like, they all just fighting in fucking purgatory. It's just white space. And I'm like, huh? But still, it's just something to come to grips with. And whatnot. A lot of people won't be able to do that, sadly. They do it with everything from TV shows to games to manga, but I really think that it's something I would argue for, that don't knock something just because it's older and it looks different. Again, Asha no Joe is one of the best mangas I've ever read in my entire life. And when did that come out? Fucking forever ago. Before the dirt was here. So it's like, come on.
What you call?
Manga artwork, like I personally, I can't read something that I think doesn't look good, but there's some things I think look good that most people wouldn't think looks good. A lot of people will think like Blade of the Immortal looks
looks ugly because it's really scratchy and like sketchy. But I don't know. I think it looks cool.
No,
But
he's a great artist. Don't
a good example of something that I think don't looks good, but I still really enjoyed it was the ping pong and the animation anime.
Yeah.
Like that, I don't think it looks good at all, but it's so fucking amazing that I couldn't help but like it.
I
The
can
art
read,
style is really like weird, but
yeah.
yeah, it's really good. It's a really good show. It's my favorite sports
Okay.
anime.
Okay, but you like Baki.
Right. Yeah. I do like Baki. I love Baki.
Chill.
This guy.
I love Baki.
I
But
couldn't-
Baki is fucking ugly as hell. Like,
I can't go a single conversation without calling hell on Baki. I have to do it every time.
I like Baki too, so chill. Because if you go talk shit about Baki, I'm in Kyle's corner. Simple as that.
You guys can go watch Walking Tumors in that corner over there. But
well, the new Baki anime is coming out next month, bro. So
stop.
Watch that.
It's over.
Jeez.
Okay, so for me, I think now I care about it a lot more than I used to, because back then I was just like, oh, I only care about the story and the characters. As long as the writing is good, I'll read anything, right? And it is true to a certain degree, because like I was reading Togashi's scribbles before he fixed it in the volume.
Oh my god.
I was there for every single hiatus when he was drawing scribbles with no backgrounds, and this is supposed to be gone, and he's got no eyes. I'm like, what is this? but it was Hunter, right? So I was interested because I like the series. And I talk about, and this is the part where he starts narrating everything. He's not even showing nothing, just a page of text. And then Pito came down and defended the king. I'm like, oh my god, you just you're just narrating, like, right? When someone told me to read One Punch Man, I didn't know there was two at the time. I read the original One Punch Man 1 before I read the Yusuke Murata version. But One Punch Man was funny to me. So even though it was super bad and amateurish, I'm laughing and I'm having a good time. So I kept reading it all the way to the end. Even though I'm pretty sure I'm like, I can do better, maybe, like like at this point. I'm trying to think something. Ping pong animation, another thing. Like, I don't like how it looks, but it's good. But there's two things that I have to like make a distinction for. Like, there's someone who can draw, and there's certain art styles that I think people mess up, because people gotta say like, oh, they can't draw, right? That's false. You may not like the art style of One Piece. That's different. And that's understandable. It's not for everybody, because it's very zany, it's very quirky, very eccentric, right? Everyone has like a visual quirk or something. I understand that. And I feel the way about Kingdom. I don't even remember the guy's name, but I think dude that draws Kingdom, I think he's a great artist. I just don't like how they look. They're so square and ugly. Like, Kingdom looks ugly to me, but the man could draw. Like,
right.
Same thing with. But I'll never say, oh, he can't draw. Like, he's a trash artist. Like, no, I don't like the art style, but he can definitely draw.
Yeah,
But-
tell it to these niggas who freaking constantly talking shit about Manuel, man. God, they gotta get out of here, man. They gotta get out of here with that.
I don't know, but it's important, but it's not the end all be all for me, because like, chances are, if I'm reading it and if I'm at least laughing, I'll probably just keep going.
You ever read or watch something and like, wow, this is so anime, or this is so manga, like I don't know how to explain it any other way, but like this is what when you're reading or watching it, it's like, this is what people think anime is, like some weird ass shit. You got super colorful hair, super colorful eyes. It just looks so anime, but it's like, damn, like I still like this shit. Like Katsuki no Yona, like, man, that shit is so anime looking, but I don't know, it's cool as fuck. It's good too.
Like I'll see an outfit and be like, this is the most anime-esque impractical outfit to fight in, but you know, it but it looks cool. So, you know, we got belts with nothing to hold it up for. Like, why you got belt on? The belt is meant to hold something up. You're wearing all these belts for no reason. Like, I don't know. What about you, Alan? I know you're a stickler, I know.
Yo, I think what it is, because like I grew up like in a private school, and like I spent all my time like.
Wait, before you go, I just want you to know Aries art's trash. We'll continue.
We're gonna have words, but anyway. So I think what it is that like I've always been in love with aesthetic. Like, if something is beautiful, you know what I mean? And I feel like everything and every person really has their own personal aesthetic. So that's not to say that like everything is like ridiculously beautiful or whatever it is, but like it's that like everybody has a way of creating something that is.
Alan the Romantis.
I'm sorry, I can't help it. Yeah, but like that's how I believe things should be, yo. Like I feel that like when you look at something, when you read something, when you hear something, like it should give you that sense, right? That like, oh man, like this, I'm really looking at something profound, right? Like I'm really looking at something that's eye catching or whatever it is. So I think when I was first reading manga, like that was one of the biggest things for me that like, okay, the art cannot be garbage. Like the art has to hold it down because if I'm subjecting my eyes to something, like it shouldn't revolt me to look at it, right? So that was a big part of it, like personally. And then I think like that actually kept me away from Hitman Reborn, and it kept me away from One Piece. And then like people like this is why I'm so appreciative that like Naya came to me and was like, look man, it gets better. Relax, just read it. So finally like I bit the bullet and I went through and like I managed to like read a bunch of stuff. But I think what it was that I went and I read Bakuman, which I think everybody really knows is
Right.
really gorgeous to like look at, right? Because it's Obata. Like Obata can do no wrong in my eyes, like when he comes to like drawing something. I mean, his early like Hikaru no Go stuff is like a little bit wonky here and there, but like once he finds his style, like he's exceptional. So when I finally read Bakuman, I understood that like, okay, maybe not necessarily like everybody is drawing things the exact same way. At that point, I understood better that like regardless of like how something looks, maybe like that's not the is all or end all of like whether a series is good or not. So at that point, then I understood that okay, like there's a lot that goes into a series. You can't just focus on how it looks as like the only deciding factor of whether you look at it or not. I mean, that's fine, like when you're starting out or whatever it is, right? That like you're not well versed in what is out there for manga or anime, but once you get past that threshold, like there's actually a world to explore out there, right? So you don't get those things unless you overcome the whole art only aspect of it, right? Like there are plenty of manhwa.
Yeah, one thing I enjoy a lot though is growing with the artist.
Yeah, that's another thing too, right? Like some people start out really, really poor, and then like over time you get to see their artwork just like flourish, right?
Look at the beginning of D Gray Man. Look at it now.
Yeah, man. Jeez, like
I like how deep to be honest.
No, but like that was like a complete overhaul. Like, is that even the same person?
Yeah,
drawing, like
that's what I'm saying. Like the level of artistry is just unreal now. Like compared to how she was, like it was still good when she started out, but now it's like a whole different tier of like you didn't know that she had that, right? Like, so it's that kind of thing. Like the awareness that like comes from having drawn a character like thousands of times, like that, it's really impressive to just experience that sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's what it is. When you read anything, really, like you're going on a journey, my guy. Like it doesn't matter what you're reading, you're going on a trip, right? So like that's a big part of it.
Yeah, like that goes back to what I was saying. You can't knock a manga for its art or whatnot, because that's not fair to the manga. And I really can't stand the trash art argument at all. Like when I look at something like Sakigake, for example, classic Shounen Jump manga, I think before freaking Hope to no Ken actually, and it has that same type of like Saint Seiya art style. That nothing is fucking inked. It's just like all fucking white and shit besides their school uniform. But I'm still trying to come to grips with it. But it's something that I think that people should just look over, because you're doing yourself a disfavor by completely shunning out manga based off of their art. I mean, you're going out of your way to not experience so many marvelous things over something so little. And when I look at things like comics and whatnot, American comics and whatnot, a lot of that early shit was freaking rough looking. And even shit today, there's shit that's rough looking. And when I look at the reviews of this, the first thing I see people complain about is the art. But they still buying it though. They still reading it though.
Actually, it's funny that you say that too, because I always tell Nia that my eyes are not backward compatible, so I can only do so much.
he's not like me. I'm a dinosaur, so I live in the 80s. Everything I watch is from the 80s.
It's like because like my Rebirth Constantine comics,
yeah,
art in that ain't that great. It's pretty rough. But that's not stopping me from reading it.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't think people should completely shun things for its art. I mean, it's a very thin line because at the end of the day, manga is its art, and that's what should be the standout point of it. And I think that's what a manga should use to tell the story. However, when we're talking about eras, when we're talking about the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 2000s, you have to actually think, use your mind. People drew differently back then. So it's not, of course, shit from the fucking 60s ain't gonna look like shit from the 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
It's you have to look at it from the time period that it was created.
Yeah.
Right.
Do it.
That reminds me, when I was reading Fist of the North Star, I was like, yo, this looks like something that will come out that came out like recently. Because
Yeah, but that's pretty recent. We're talking that's like 90s.
the 80s, right?
Yeah, like
80s.
late 80s, early 90s. But you gotta read some like real old, like Ring ni Kokeru or something like that, whatever it's called. The other manga that the Saint Seiya creator created. That's fucking 60s. Go try to read some 60s manga and see how all that shit look.
I even
That's
think
not Asha.
I even think Devilman is ugly.
Yeah,
I read it, but like I was just like,
That
what
would
is
be
this?
cool to me.
Yeah, I think
There's
I
a
have
bunch of manga sequels too.
those.
I don't like how Devilman looks, but I like Devilman though.
Actually, that's another thing too. Like you guys explore like different aesthetics. Like depending on like what era you're looking at, like there are different things that they consider to be really attractive, right? So like that's also something interesting to see in my mind, anyway.
Like-
The key animation and like hand drawing frames, something that's just like something like every frame.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's something I miss always, which is why I like to watch some of those older stuff because just like like look at this, how they move, like
Because there's a lot of care that goes into it, right? When you do it like that, there's a lot of like time spent, and you really get that when you watch it.
that was like why I super appreciated Cuphead. I'm like, let's look at this.
Yo, yeah, right.
Yeah, the thing is, because once technology arrived, that type of effort, we don't gotta do that fucking effort no more. The computer can do it for us. So that's why a lot of anime today looks the way it does now. And I didn't even get to touch on a topic about freaking anime you want me to ramble on today, huh? It's like, it's people try to come at you for saying that 90s anime is better, but just look at it. I mean, look at the OVAs that came out in those years, the 90s and the 80s, and look at that shit that comes out now.
Yeah.
It's like, it's night and day. Again, Studio Period, for example. Look at Flame of Records anime. Look at Tokyo Ghoul's anime. Just look at it.
And
There's
there's more care put into it too, more effort. I think some of the stuff I see now is just uninspired. This is like, I just like this always looks the same sometimes. Like this
it's
anime
fucking boring.
and they try to be overly colorful sometimes. I find now sometimes you think gotta have yellow hair and a pink outfit with green shoes and I'm like, what is going on with this character? His outfit fit. Like,
But even like when animation is supposed to be good, that shit don't look good to me. Like, what was that freaking KyoAni anime that just came out? Everybody was hype beast over. That main character bitch that looked like Saber, but she not.
Oh, Violet Evergarden?
Yeah, that shit looks fucking ugly to me.
What? Really?
That shit. I mean, not the art, but the animation. Like the way that shit just like jiggling all over the place. Like, listen, shit don't move like that in real life, man. That don't look remotely appealing to me at all. At all. Man.
there's something the way they move back in the day and how they move now that it's just a lost art.
Very
It's not the same.
Yeah, like they think that good animation nowadays is just making everything super fucking fast. Like, nah, that shit looks fucking nasty, man. Like, for example, Chokai no Kanata. Did I say that right? The KyoAni anime with the bitch with the fucking blood sword or whatnot.
Beyond the boundary. Yeah.
Yeah, that animation is fucking disgusting. The fight scenes in that, that shit is nasty.
There's one sequence that I'm very fond of, but I agree with you though.
Like,
Oh, are you saying the dancing?
No, there's just one scene where she's like spinning around and doing some stuff and whatever. I think that one like 6-second sequence was good. But,
like I remember because I was on Crunchyroll when that anime was airing, and I remember looking at the forums for the forum for it when each episode dropped. They was talking about the animation, and I'm biased against KyoAni and Shaft. I hate both of them, but they was talking about the animation, and a dude, he was like, the animation in this anime isn't very good because it defies basic human anatomy. He took pictures of a fight scene and whatnot, and like frame by frame, the way bitch was moving, her arms were fucking broken. Like they wasn't. That's not how arms move. Like they was literally going opposite directions the way the bones are placed in your body. It's fucking hideous, and that's how the anime moves. Period. I'm like, that's not good. It's making everything go super fucking fast. It's like fucking liquid. I don't want to look at liquid. If I want to look at liquid, I'll turn on my fucking faucet. It's.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, people get moving fast.
It's just nasty looking, man. Everything don't gotta be super freaking fast. It's just, and when you look at I'll use Flame Record for example. Flame Record's anime is absolutely gorgeous, if you ask me.
I actually never seen it. I didn't even know I had an anime, but I'll keep it real. I only read it though.
The anime looks completely different from the freaking manga. It's weird. Like the manga, even though the manga's a 90s manga, the art to me in the manga looks like a fucking 80s manga. It reminds me of Kinnikuman, like how everybody's kind of chibi, like they're not to scale. Like they look all kind of short-ish, and they also have that like inking problem where everything, not everything, but a lot of stuff is like way lighter than it should be and whatnot. And when you look at the freaking anime, the Flame Record anime looks like fucking Yu Yu Hakusho. But yeah, if you ask me, and I'm pretty sure Studio Period did Yu Yu Hakusho as well.
Yeah,
so,
they did.
Yeah, Flame Record looks absolutely gorgeous. Everything is not super fast paced, high detail. The lighting, the shadows, the shading is just absolutely gorgeous. The fight scenes aren't just super quick, super fast. It's just absolutely amazing. You look at something like Kyokai no Kanata, they got the big name KyoAni behind it, but you look at the fight scene, it's like liquid. It's literally like looking at liquid. It just like blobs. It's just freaking weird looking, man. That's not to say all anime looks bad. Bones, for example, I think is a really excellent studio. And they do amazing. They do an amazing job with animating. Like I guess Boku no Hero, for example, but the big example being FMAB. I think they really brought that series to life. And you know how I feel about that series. But I think they did it.
I don't think Kyle likes it either, right? You like Brotherhood.
I don't think it's that amazing. I know it's like objectively the best, but the animation wise, the art wise, I think it's really good actually.
Yeah, like Bones is like really freaking fantastic. The fight scenes in FMAB, everything wasn't super fast. They had impact. You could see what's going on, and it's fluid. And they're moving.
Right, it was very fluid. It's not like all about this like super punch someone through like 8 buildings. And then punch them through the ground, like from the air, like not like DBZ type shit. Like it was very fluid fights.
Like that's the way the series is, right? Like it's much more grounded in how the powers work and whatever, right? So they really don't have a choice. They have to do those things, otherwise it just doesn't make any sense, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. They don't make it, even though it's grounded. It's not, the fight scenes aren't freaking super fast. Yeah, every animation that's heralded as good, the animation is just super fucking fast. And it looks nasty. Can't even tell what's going on. It's just speed lines, blurs, and that's it.
You know, it's like, and like if you like start paying attention to something, because like I actually blame Kyle for this, but ever since you showed me that Super Eye Patch Wolf video, you've effectively ruined a lot of fights that I liked. And some that I don't like, I like now because I'm able to see the sequence of events in the panel, all kind of stuff, and how your eyes move across the page. But I could apply this to like anime a bit more now, because like I'll be watching something and I'm like, the way that they're swinging their swords, they're swinging it into each other's swords, and instead of you trying to attack their body and you're defending and then you're counterattacking, you're just swinging to hit each other's swords. I'm like, this is garbage.
Yeah, that's not how fight works.
You don't. And like if you watch like Dragon Ball, sometimes when they're punching, it's like these punches are going to miss anyways, right? So it's like you're just punching air and you're just making it seem like they're hitting each other, and like no one's actually aiming at each other. It's really bad.
Jeez.
Oh my God.
That's wild.
Well, yeah. You go on a pizza if you want. But I mean, anything else? I think we went through everything. We're pretty good. That was good. We were for like an hour and something.
Yeah.
Let's go. So, you guys want to plug anything?
Yeah, of course. Follow me on Twitter at Vienna Society, capital V, capital S. Read the blog, theintelligentsia.weebly.com. Yeah. I don't know. Did anybody else want to plug it?
follow. Was it Moon Kiniku?
No, I wish. No, it's Moon Vulcan.
Or Moon Vulcan. Okay, yeah, and then me with the guy that. Kyle is, I think, Visul.
It's cool with 3 L's.
Okay, yeah. So follow them. I think I saw you were starting a blog or something. I don't know. Were you?
Yeah, I'm gonna start.
All right.
Hey.
When you hit that, let me know.
No, no doubt.
Stick to this time. You made one video and you stopped.
I made 2 videos. I made a Nashville one and a Witchhunter one.
Did you really?
Oh shit.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. I'll go check it out after. But all right, everyone. Thanks for coming through. Good episode. We out. You're